Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to TechMaestro. My name is Karan, and in this video, I'll be talking about high-level system design interviews. So we'll talk about like what is system design, what are the expectations in an interview in a system design of a system design interview, basically how to prepare for it. Like this is one of the most asked questions that I get on LinkedIn, on Discord, or anywhere that people wants to connect with me. How do you prepare for system design interviews? And at last, how do you tackle a question in an interview when on basically on your D day? How do you tackle a question in a software engineering system design interviews? So yeah, without any further delay, let's get started. So first of all, let's talk about what is system level, high level system design interview. So as the name suggests, you have to design some system, and it has to be a very high level. Now, this description in itself is a very high level. Let's dive deep into it. So basically, the problem statement here is like you have to design a system like Uber, or Uber is still a big thing. YouTube or streaming apps like Hotstar or Netflix. You may be given any system to design. It can be a broad system, like I said, or it can be a specific part of the system, like payment system in Amazon or card system in Amazon, or maybe like payment system in Stripe, right? So or event management system in, let's say, Uber, right? There can be a specific domain, a specific question as well, or it can be a very broad product level questions like Uber and all, as I mentioned. So these are the type of questions that you get, and the expectations is like you should be able to come up with a theoretical and high level of a workable system, which seems feasible, which seems doable in theory. So this is what high level system design interview is. Now talking about the expectations in an interview. So in a HLD interview, the expectations is you will be given a problem statement, and this problem statement will be very abstract. It will be very ambiguous. The basic requirement is you come up with relevant questions that you can ask your interviewer, because in any system design or even in real life, you'll not be given in like you'll not be facing very well defined problem in a day-to-day job, right? So this try to mimic or imitate how will you perform in a day-to-day job. So this is what the expectation is. Like, given a very abstract problem, can you think of relevant questions? Can you cross question your interviewer or not? Then the second expectation is you should be able to come up with a relevant uh, requirement of the system. For example, if you're talking about Uber, so the basic requirement is when you open the app, you should be able to look at the available cars or the cabs, basically. Then secondly, you should be able to book a cab. Third, you should have payment. Fourth, you should be able to look at the history, right? So these are the multiple requirements that can be there. Then if you think broadly, that cab has to be driven by a driver, and now driver has also some management software. Then a system, it has to be there which manages both, so admin portal and all, right? So these are the basic requirements that you should come up with. So you should be able to think of a product, or you should be able to think of a system, and you should be able to come up with relevant requirements for that. Then the second is non-functional requirement. These things are called functional requirement. The second thing that comes into picture is non-functional requirement. So what is non-functional requirement? Things like it should be highly available or highly consistent, or partition tolerance should be there. Gap theorem, basically. You should have understanding of when to choose very high, very low latency versus decent latencies and all. For example, messaging system should have very low latencies. You cannot afford to have seconds kind of latencies in a messaging system. It will not be very good for user experience. Whereas for most of the other systems, you can live up to 100 or 200 milliseconds kind of response, right? So you should be able to come up with a relevant non-functional requirement. The third expectation is you should be able to come up with scale estimation. What it means is, like, let's say if you are designing WhatsApp. For WhatsApp, basically WhatsApp has 2 billion active users, which means like there will be hundreds of billions of messages transferred throughout the day. Whereas if we talk about some non same chatting app but very which is not famous, so there might be like hundreds of active users, or 10, maybe a million active users, up to 100 million 100 million messages exchanged in a day. The scale or the system design of WhatsApp will be very very different as compared to any other app, because they have to deal with very high amount of scale, right? So you should be able to come up with scale estimation. On basis of that, you come up with storage, and on the basis of storage, you decide what type of storage do you use, how do you you decide your archival procedure, how do you replication and sharding, partitioning, all these things come into only these are once you have decent scale estimation, that's the only time that you will be able to come up with a proper decisions like these, right? Then the fourth is coming up with actual high level system design, which is like there will be multiple components, so you should be able to come up with multiple components. For example, like we said, uh, in an Uber app, there will be one searching system where you will be able to find nearby cars. Second will be booking system. Then third will be user management. Fourth will be driver management. There will be multiple systems within Uber, right? So you should be able to come up with multiple systems, microservices, if you are talking about microservice architecture. So you should be able to come up with multiple microservices. Then you should have decent understanding of how will they communicate with each other. What kind of protocol will you use? Will you use asynchronous communication or synchronous communication? If even if we go in deeper details, you should have decent understanding of when to use what kind of protocols in communication, uh, or service discovery, service networking, everything. You should have a basic understanding of these at least. Then diving deep into different components. For example, your interviewer may ask you about security aspects, or they might ask you about service discovery itself. So it depends, or like you may have to go into one or two components, depth of one or two components of how exactly will you implement that. For example, for Uber, a very classic question is how will you implement nearest cab system, because there you have to deal with millions of cars across geographies. How do you do partitioning? How do you do sharding of the data? On what basis do you do geographical sharding and everything? So this is what you have to come up with. The 5 steps are: first, functional requirement; non-functional requirement; scale estimation; high level design; and then dive deep into the last, which is a little lower level design as compared to the fourth step. So these are the very basic expectations out of it, and we'll cover what additional can you do and how can you ace your interview in the last, basically. Now, since you know the expectations from interview, how do you prepare for HLD? Uh, so, in my personal opinion, and honestly speaking, HLD is not something that you can prepare in a day or a week or a month. HLD interviews are something that you prepare every single day in your job. As you progress, as your experience increases, you should be becoming better at it. So this is one of the most important aspects. So HLD interview, prepare every single day. Do your job in a way that if somebody takes your design round tomorrow, you should be ready by then. So now, talking about how do you do that, basically the very basic things on a regular basis is read about system designs of actual infrastructures or actual products like Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp. There are very good websites like in fact Netflix. There are good websites like Netflix engineering blog, Uber engineering blog, high scalability, to name a few. There are much more number of websites that you can look up for. And you should be reading white papers like Amazon DynamoDB, GFS, Hadoop, and whatnot, Tau, MapReduce. There are so many groundbreaking white papers that you can read and you can learn from them. The biggest thing that you should be learning is like, why did they come up with the system that they designed, even when there was something on the something or other present in the market. Why did they have to design it by themselves? Why did they have to start from scratch? What was the problem that no other system could solve? So that will give you perspective of thinking about trade-offs that will give you perspective of how do you decide to build a system, or how do you on the what basis do you build a new system or use an existing system. So do these things. When these are the things that you do on a regular basis without thinking about an interview. Now coming to specifically interview preparation, the first thing that you do is like get better at theoretical aspects. This is what I've been preaching every time. Get better in the basics. So the basics are like you should have basic understanding of computer science fundamentals. On top of that, you should have basic understanding of how things work, like caching, then sharding, partitioning, consistent hashing, whatnot. What else? Then there are so many things like then security, basics of security, privacy, and monitoring, logging. These are the things that you should know. These are the theoretical aspects of it. Then advanced techniques like count, when, catch. Then request coalescing, and then cache. What is it? Cache stampeding, right? So you should have understanding of these concepts. If you know these concepts, you will be able to apply that in one or the other systems. These are not the concepts that you need to do or you need to basically you need for one or two systems. These are the concepts that you need every single day in your day-to-day life in almost all the system design interviews. Then once you have very good solid understanding of these concepts, you then basically go to the system designs, actual system designs. Like always, start with easy ones. There are again multiple categories: easy, medium, hard, super hard. Then start with easy ones like tic-tac-toe or basic game, very basic online game with very low scale, then tiny URL, then go to medium level, then go to hard level. So think about solve these, discuss with people, like join some community. For example, our own community like TechMaestro community, you can join there, you can discuss your system design with people. I personally used to discuss with all my colleagues at Blackbuck, right? So we used to have a regular discussion. This was not for interview as well. We were not preparing for interview. Without that also, we used to discuss a lot about system designs. So discuss with someone else so that you can learn from their experience. You can learn from your seniors, your juniors, your peers. Learn from each other, and then discuss. Join some communities. Discuss with them. Okay. So these are the steps that you can use to prepare for HLD. Now, while we are here, so I have attached a link to a GitHub repository which contains links to all these things that I mentioned, be it good engineering blog, top followed GitHub repository specific stuff, then course wise, theoretical wise, structured course by on YouTube available free of cost, then all easy, medium level questions, hard level questions available in the description below. In the GitHub repository mentioned in the description below. Do go and check that out, learn from there. So these are the things, and this entire process again will take a lot of time. Like it is not going to happen in 1 or 2 days. Give it at least 2 to 3 weeks just for like basic theoretical part, and then probably 4 to 5 months just to get better at it. Discuss it with people. Then the next thing is how can I practice or get better at system design? So like I said, read engineering blogs. This is very important. Learn from the experts. Learn how they did it, why they did it, and what are the different aspects of design choices that somebody is choosing. Then discuss it with your peers or network. So these are few things that I personally feel like you should be doing it. Look at good engineering videos and all, right? So these are some aspects that you can, this is how you can practice and get better at system design. Now, how to approach a question in an interview. Again, this is going to be same thing. I am not going to go deeper into those 5 things. I'll just mention them again. One, when you have a question, when you are in an interview, first of all, ask lot of clarifying questions. Come up with a basic requirement. Secondly, when you have requirement, come up with non-functional requirement. Third thing, come up with a scale estimation. Fourth thing, come up with a high-level system design. Then fifth thing, go into deeper of dive deep into API level, DB level things. One more thing. One thing that I will suggest everyone doing is like talk about trade-offs every single time. There is no right or wrong answer in system design. Nobody can say that you are right or you are wrong. There are obviously some good and bad choices, but apart from that, there is no wrong and right answer. If you have a very relevant, logical answer of why are you choosing XYZ thing, your interviewer is not going to say ki this is wrong or this is right. So this is one thing. Have trade-off, come up with trade-off of every single thing. Let's say, for example, if you are choosing MySQL database. So why did you choose MySQL? Did you think about scale? Did you think about partition tolerance? Did you think about cap theorem? Did you think about query pattern? If you have, there is no other reason, right? These are the basic things that you basically these are the things that you implement in a real life world as well, on a day-to-day job as well. And if you are doing that in an interview, your interviewer know that you are capable of doing that in a day-to-day job as well. So do these things. Then few tricks and tips that I will say, and things that will make you different from everyone else is: one, talk about success metrics, talk about metrics. Nobody in the system design talks about metrics or logging, monitoring, and metrics. These are the three things that I always talk, because in a system, in a real world system, these things are mandatory. These things are very basic things that comes that is always there. So talk about metrics collection, success metrics, failure metrics. If you are building a product, how will you define if the product is successful or not? How will you define if the product is a failure or not? Right? So talk about success matrices. Then how will you monitor them? How will you capture them? Talk about that. Then logging and monitoring. How will you log your system? How will you do logging in your system? How will you do logging management at a very high level scale? Then how will you monitor your system's health? Talk about these things. These are things that most of the people don't talk about. Then the next thing that you can talk about is security and privacy. In the recent world, security and privacy is a very important aspect, especially in the online digital world, given the number of frauds and happening on in the internet. So security has become a very critical aspect. If you can talk a bit about security, that will add a lot of value to your profile. So these are some things that you can do to basically separate out yourself from the crowd. So these are so basically this is all. That's all from my side. And if you like the video, please click on the subscribe button. Don't forget to click on the like and comment down below how did you find the content. If you like the content overall, click on the subscribe button and let me know how can I help you more. Join Discord community. If you want to discuss something with me, join Discord community. Talk to me there, or write in the description below what kind of content would you want me to build on more. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching this video again, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.